Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. The Gukurahundi massacre remains one of the most outstanding dark chapters in Zimbabwe's history, post-independent history. This was a situation that we could have easily avoided, but we failed to do so, and all because of greed. There cannot be any denying that the primary purpose of Gukurahundi was for Mugabe and his ZANU-PF colleagues to have an excuse to impose a de facto one-party state. That is the tragedy of Zimbabwe. Welcome to the program, Ben. You've seen this video. What do you think?
Good day to you and good day to our viewers. Thank you for joining us. I think this is one of the darkest times in Zimbabwe's history. The time where fellow Zimbabweans turned on others, on the pretext that they were looking for arms and, certain individuals that had gone rogue. But deep down, and the carelessness of those that committed the atrocities, they did not shun themselves to say the truth about the real reason for this violence on fellow Zimbabweans. I think, when you play the video and get to see the brutality as, family members, relatives narrate how the atrocities were committed, one would just ask, are these people human? Is ZANU-PF, do they have a conscience? It's really, really sadistic for me, and sad for us to have started independence with such a black spot.
I'll just play the bit that Mugabe talks about the one-party state. My apologies, I need sound. Sorry, Benny, go ahead while I mess around with this. I don't know what has happened with my sound.
Sure, no problem. So I think, most of our viewers are aware of, Gukurahundi, where ZANU-PF government accused, particularly ZIPRA or ZANU-PF members for, being dissidents and, wanting to topple a democratically elected government. This led to the unleashing of the 5th Brigade in the Midlands and Matabeleland areas, where a lot of people, were butchered and murdered in this pretext to say that, there were illegal arms and legal dealings and wanting to topple a government. But the truth of the matter was, and in that video, as you play it, you get to hear from, different individuals like Mugabe himself. Emerson Mnangagwa was part and parcel of the show, and the audacity to stand and say the real reason, whether it be knowingly or unknowingly, they let the cat out of the bag to say this was the real reason why they had to do what they did. And it wasn't about any dissident or any arms.
Hanged? Yeah. Why do you say that?
He's disturbing the country. We will order Mugabe. We are going to order Mugabe to declare one party state.
Mugabe needed no encouragement. A one-party state had always been his ambition.
One-party state. The dissident party and his dissident father are both destined not only for rejection, but for utter destruction as well.
Despite the reign of terror in Matabeleland, Mugabe's party made no headway. As his opponents hope to demonstrate this weekend, intimidation can be counterproductive. The liberation battle was fought for the vote and to win back land. But 20 years on, blacks still haven't got their hands on the best farms. For the first 10 years, whites weren't forced to sell, and few did. Some abandoned farms were parcelled out to blacks, but the results were disappointing.
The government was in a great hurry to just put people on the land. We have now settled 150.
Well, the land issue is another big issue, but I think I wanted to concentrate on the political issue, the dissident, the Gukurahundi itself. As Mugabe, they clearly stated, he wanted a one-party state. There cannot be any doubt about it. The details of how many people were killed, where their remains are, remains largely hidden because the regime has not been honest enough to come forward with the details. But I think what we need to remember here is that Gukurahundi would have been avoided if Mugabe, particularly Mugabe, since he had the dominant ZANU-PF party, had been committed to creating a democratic Zimbabwe. From the word go, Mugabe was never committed to one man, one vote. While in the Lancaster House, they agreed that they would, during the election period, withdraw their operatives from the field so that the campaigning can be done in a free environment. When Mugabe got back to Zimbabwe, he had decided that many of his Zandla forces, operatives, freedom fighters, would remain in the field. And their message during the campaign period was that if ZANU-PF does not win, the Bush war would continue. There is a man who clearly had no commitment to multi-party democracy. He wanted power, absolute power, and was determined to get it. And if people thought that was just a campaign gimmick, 3 years later, he launched the Gukurahundi. if people thought they'd avoided the Bush War by voting for Mugabe and the ZANU-PF, they were proven wrong, because we now have a case where we are back to the Bush War. I think this is one of the tragedies of Zimbabwe, that we could have avoided this tragedy and we didn't, all because of greed, period.
We should also add, although the numbers are not the same, the atrocities during the Gukurahundi and what is happening now, the numbers are not the same, but the violence continues. Years, decades later, Mugabe still produced a statement where he said that Zimbabwe will never be ruled by a pen. Rather, if the pen wins, we will go back to war. And each and every time when there is a voice that does not support or that queries, certain things about government, they squash. It's either you disappear, you get abducted, you get kidnapped, you get tortured, you get, sometimes even killed. We have a lot of activists that up to today, we do not know what has happened to them. We have journalists that are being jailed left, right, and center for no, reason whatsoever. They are just, put there until they decide they're good and ready to receive, to release you. So ZANU-PF has always been about a one-party state. This is their main objective and has been their main objective from day one. And they have made sure that they will squash the people and oppress the people into following or keeping quiet, no matter what.
Yes, that is a tragedy. But I think what I wanted to finish my my comment on here is that for the last 45 years since the country's independence, we really have failed to do something to dismantle the de facto one-party state. And as long as we continue with this political system, dysfunctional political system, the country will always have this sword hanging over our heads of political instability, the case of rigged elections and bad governance. We should have learned something from Gukurahundi, and we should have committed ourselves that we must get this corrected as soon as possible. We failed to do so, and we are now paying dearly for it. We must, whether we realize it or not, we must act to make sure that we really dismantle this de facto one-party state, implement the democratic reforms, because only then can we have a truly stable political system. We may not get another Gukurahundi, but nonetheless, the political instability that was born by the de facto one-party state of the last 45 years is what got us to where we are. We did have the opportunity to to dismantle the de facto one-party state, particularly during the GNU of 2008 to 2013. We wasted it. We must learn from that as well. Because as long as Zimbabwe remains a pariah state, a de facto one-party state, the country's economy will remain in a mess and politically unstable. Thank you very much. Ben, do you want to give your closing remarks?
Thank you. In closing, I would want to emphasize what you were talking about, to say, we have failed, and particularly us as Zimbabweans, we have failed to end this nightmare called ZANU-PF. If you look and you try and, comprehend the chances that we had to end this dictatorship, and instead we perpetuated it, it's just disheartening. In 2018, 17, when we had a military coup, a lot of Zimbabweans were singing and, joyful when Mugabe is being ousted, only to replace him with Mnangagwa. I'm sure the whole world must have been looking and saying, these people really must be out of their senses. We have always been making mistake after mistake after mistake. And everybody keeps asking, then what should we do? And yet the answer has always been given. The sad thing about Zimbabweans is that the answer has been given to them. All they need to do is write it down. The observer missions that have always come to observe our elections have always condemned our elections as not free and fair and credible. And they've gone the extra mile to give us recommendations, reforms. Do this before you go into another election. This is what they say. But lo and behold, Zimbabweans will go into another election having done absolutely nothing. And then the question comes to say, the international community doesn't want to help us. We are all by ourselves. How then do they help you when they have given you an answer and rejected it? That is the question that I will leave to each and every one of us. The answer is given. What more help do you want? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ben. To those who were able to join us, thank you for joining us. Hope you'll be able to do it again tomorrow, 7 o'clock UK time, 8 o'clock Zimbabwean time. Good night.